Hi everyone, I'm here with
Nick Bruno.
ND Stevenson.
Troy Quane.
and we are here to present.
Nimona.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having a conversation with us. We just wanted to have a little chat about what you guys do and how you got to produce this incredible film. So just, a little bit one by one, tell us a little bit about you. Let's start with Nick.
Of course. Hey, what's up? I'm Nick. Let's see. Tell a little bit about me. I like cartoons. I like drawing. I like silly things. And I like things with big heart. And I think Nimona is all of those things. The huge heart. It's all about acceptance and seeing people for who they truly are and not judging them for any other nonsense. But at the heart of it is this amazing character that was created by ND Stevenson, a.k.a. Nimona.
Yeah, I think it's a story that it's about acceptance, but it's also, when I set out to make the book and the character, it was also about, I felt like acceptance had been so conditional, that it was about, simplifying yourself down or turning yourself into, the nicest, cutest, sweetest version of yourself in order to gain that acceptance. And Nimona was sort of me exploring, what that looked like if you didn't do that. What if you did just, show everyone all the most raw and messiest and even, the ugliest parts of yourself? Could you still get that acceptance? And so I think that the movie and the book, they're both an exploration of what that means, of just how do you accept someone when you don't fully understand them? How do you ask for love and acceptance when, you are something so much bigger than many people can get their heads around? And so it's really cool to be able to send that message out, because I think that lots of people, and especially a lot of kids, feel that way a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was the appealing thing about the story is the messiness of these characters and who they are, and they feel very real because, nobody's one thing. We can be angry, and we can be frustrated, we can be hurt, and we can react badly to that sometimes, but it doesn't make us less of who we are. We have all of these feelings. I think sometimes in animation, you try and sand down those edges, you try and make it so it's acceptable to sort of the broad, sweeping audience. And I think the thing we found and was very exciting about working with this was the more specific and the more we leaned into it, the more we gave it that unique voice and that very direct idea, actually the more universal it became. Whether you've experienced the things that these characters are going through or not, you could understand the emotions that they're feeling, and you can recognize yourself in those things. And I think it gives people a lot of points of connection to not feel alone.
And obviously this film took a while to get into what it got. Yeah. But tell us a little bit, Andy, tell us a bit, how did it start? Where did it come from, that little spark that started everything?
She kind of did just emerge fully formed for me. She just started showing up in my sketchbooks, and I just doodled her a whole lot in class. And she had this spirit that I just I wanted for myself, that I didn't feel this confidence of just who she was, and also the freedom and the agency she had over her physical form, which I felt completely disconnected from. It really, I don't know. I feel like storytellers say that a lot, where it's the characters, they tell their own stories or they come alive. But her, more than any other character I've ever worked on, it really did feel like she was sort of calling the shots. And so sometimes I just feel like in this case, I kind of am just along for the ride. It's great. I get to come to Italy because they had to make a movie. I think that that spirit, the spirit of Nimona, it just turned out to be so much bigger than me. And it turned out to be something that every single person out of thousands of people who had put a little bit of themselves into this movie, it all just brought her a little bit more to life.
Awesome. That's incredible. And how was that interaction between, obviously, it all started with Nimona and the little sketch, then the comic, and then you guys taking it to the film. How was that interaction between the storytellers and directors to take that into the screen?
It was horrible, painful.
Hate it.
It was fun. We do these things because we like to have we like to have fun. Who doesn't? We're making movies. We're breathing rarefied air. But when you read the book, you realize how personal voice it had, and when you hear this character came into existence fully formed, that's as terrifying because you're like, okay, well, here's a different version of it, and you're reading the book, and when you read the book, you hear the voice yourself, and like we're trying to cast a character and present it to ND and say, here's what Nimona could sound like, and that's such an interesting thing for a character who's so realized to then be realized yet again.
Yeah.
It was a challenging and exciting adventure.
That's very exciting to hear, like, you know, how it all came together. And, you know, besides animation, besides film, what is it that inspires you of the world? Like, what is it that you do in your free time? If you guys, I know you're all busy people, but like in your free time, what is it that brings you joy and inspiration?
You know, I think when I was a kid, I hated school more than anything. And I'd always say, why do we need to know this? Why do we need to know this? And I didn't need any of it. But now in animation,
fully formed.
In animation, like with every project, with every idea, you end up doing all this research and discovering all these new amazing things and stories and people and characters. And I feel like whatever education I didn't get as a kid, I love that I get one now. And I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Yeah.
That's the education from the...
That's inspiring to me, is that education you get.
I think for me, you getting to make movies and tell stories is sort of what I always did growing up, and by yourself drawing little comics. And I think we all sort of share that journey. But I think what's inspiring for me, what I like to do now is this. I mean, we're in Italy talking about something we're passionate about and getting to experience something I may not have got to experience otherwise. And I find it inspiring. I walk down a street and it's seeing a different culture, seeing a different way of living. And it seeds in your brain in such an amazing way. And I feel very lucky and excited to get to enjoy this.
That's awesome. What about you, ND? Where is your inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like it's very easy as an artist to have all your hobbies be around art, and I do that. I just do that. But I'm also just trying to make that like weirder and like so yeah. I read books about disasters. I recreate famous paintings with emojis. I like draw terrible sea creatures and like with pen and ink. I own 3 typewriters. It's honestly just been trying to be about, I feel like there's like a kind of chaos that's at the heart of Nimona, the book, because that's like where it came from, was just kind of flying by the seat of the pants. And I've learned so much in the last few years. And so sometimes it's about taking time to like unlearn some things just so you can like tap back into why you got into this in the first place. So I've been having a lot of fun doing that.
That's incredible. And what about the long journey? I know it was a roller coaster. Sorry, one more. All right. Sorry, let us finish with, what would you want to leave our audience with? If one thing you want to leave, a little quote or something, what would it be?
No, just, I think the message that we try to put in the film is the key one for me. Is we started this movie, we try to make a message of acceptance, and that felt like the right message to send. But I think it evolved a little bit beyond that to just give chance of people, just see them for who they are trying to express who they are. You may accept that, you may not, but you've at least given everyone the opportunity to be seen for who they are. And I think that's such an important thing to sort of walk away, because I think once you do that, you realize that they're probably not as different as you anticipated. And by nature, you will just accept that individual for that individuality.
Yeah, that's some song. Anything else to add? Is that all?
I think to take it a step farther, it's just like you don't have to understand people to love them.
Yeah.
And acceptance is not, that's not a prerequisite to acceptance. And I think that's the message that the book and the movie send.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.